Well, we're about to leave for Taliban. We've got a few things that have to be done there, upload some videos and do some other things that we need to do. And I've been told by She Who Must Be Obeyed that I must do a video. So what could I do a video on? Right. This is a usual challenge. Right, so I look at some of the comments that we get, and they ask questions, and I can't always get to those questions. When we go to Taliban, usually we go to the internet cafe and we spend maybe 2 or 3 hours there, and believe it or not, it can take that long for me to go through all of the comments, respond to the ones that have made a long comment, and the other ones that say good job or great to see you, like the video. Well, we'll just do a thumbs up on those. But there's a couple of questions that maybe because I've been told to make a video, perhaps I can deal with them right now. Right, the first one is, can you louder your voice? Well, this is how I speak. Now, if you're used to watching American expats, Americans speak, they just naturally speak louder than British, and never had this more noticeably demonstrated to me than when I went back to the UK for a very, very short visit last year, this time about last year, and I went into a restaurant. Couldn't hear what people on the next table were really saying because it sounded like they were just murmuring. Of course they're not, they're just talking normally for the British. And now I went on the underground, and on the underground, at a busy time on the underground, the tube, the subway, whatever you want to call it, you can hear newspapers rustling as people read their newspapers. That's how quietly people talk. They talk that way. That's the norm. There's nothing great about that. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just the way that it is. Now, if you are in LA and you go to a place called Ed DeBevick's, I'm giving a plug to Ed DeBevick. If you went into Ed DeBevick's, the noise is so incredible that you can't hear yourself think. You feel when you go in, you're the only one that has not been invited to this incredible party that's going on. Everybody seems to a British guy, they're all shouting at each other, but they're not. They're just having fun, and they speak louder than British, and that's just the way that it is. So I am going to try to louder my voice, but it's not natural to me, and but I'm working at it. All right, so somebody said, well, you need to project from the diaphragm. Well, I'm a professional singer, and I know all about projecting from the diaphragm because I had to do it for years when I was performing on stage, so I do know about that. But I don't go around talking louder like this as a normal thing. It's just not natural for me. So I'm a softer spoken guy, and if you're watching the other expats and you need a loud voice, well, you can go there and is it wrong? No, it's just different. So I'm looking at my little list that I made. How far is your house from the road? I think it's 2 miles from the road, but if I look at the counter on my bike, it works out at maybe 2 kilometers. But my God, when you're walking down there and you're carrying anything, looks like 2 miles from me. So that's the answer to there. What's the road like? It's pretty rough. It's pretty rough. I doubt that our little 4x4 Tonka toy is going to last much longer. Right now, when we're coming up the last part of our road, which we call the tunnel because it's a deep rift that curves around like an S-bend, and it's steep. We call that the tunnel because the bike, even the bike, it's difficult to get up there. And of course, because there's a steep hill, there's a bad runoff of water and it quickly deteriorates no matter how much work you do on it. It needs to be concreted, and guess what? It's not going to happen yet. What's the next one? One guy said, well, why don't you buy a car? Well, why don't you buy me one? A car won't make it up there. A 4x4 doesn't make it up there. And I'm sure that it wouldn't work. It would have to be a 4x4 SUV. And let me see, last count, a 4x4 SUV. Not gonna happen. Okay, we got our little used 4x4 truck, which is a tiny little thing. It gets overloaded every time we use it, because overload is not in the Filipino direct dictionary. It's a word and a description that doesn't fit here. Okay, so hints on the road repair. Love all the hints on the road repair. Unfortunately, they all cost money, right? So that's that question. We don't have it. Now this is a funny one. Nanai and the dogs. Somebody wrote and says, does Nanai have to hit the dogs when you're making your video? Let me see. Does Nanai hit the dogs? I don't think she does hit the dogs. I think actually she's probably got more to do than sit around while we're on the video and hit the dogs. So that's that question done, okay? Now, what's the price of land? Somebody asked me, what's the price of 2 hectares of land? Now, I haven't a clue. I have no idea. It may be, I don't know, it may be 150,000. Let me ask Beth. Beth, what's the price of a hectare of land?
It depends on the location. If you're near the road and it's more commercial, it's more expensive. But I have no idea, but that's the difference. If you're looking for cheapest, you go to the mountain, to the hill. You know, mountain. But if you want expensive, you go to the commercial near the town and near the beach.
In other words, it depends what you want to spend, what you are able to spend, and how valuable the piece of land is. If it's very convenient, could be used for a commercial way. If it's next to the beach, forget it, unless you've got a lot of money. If it's in the mountains, are you close to water? That would be, for me, that would be an important thing. Can you put a well in where it can be pumped up to your house? Plus, if you're in the mountains, you probably have to do without power, unless you're close to at least where people have had the power run in. Power and running water, very, very important, especially if you're coming from the west and you're used to going and clicking the light on, having AC, having running water. Get used to the idea that there are some big changes coming on. So, how do I start life out there? This is a very simple answer to this. You have enough money to set up. That is either, if you are a couple and one of you at least is a Filipina, you'll come over here, you buy a piece of land, you'll build a house on it or have a house built, and you'll start your life. Then you'll need income. How much income? Well, in the mountains, I know people who say that they are able to live on $500 a month. They say that they're able. I have no reason to doubt them. I can't live on $500 a month, but then I have other people that I also have to support. But certainly we don't get probably a tad under $1,000 a month, but we often are hard up. So, how did you meet? Now, this is the one that people are constantly asking about. Right, here's the deal on that. We are going to make a video on how did we meet. It's just that we do include quite private moments in our life, and we do tell a lot about each other. And we want to keep a little bit to ourselves. So We will make a video and we will talk about the important moments about when we left. And I can tell you now that the most important text probably that I've ever had in my life was when Beth texted me and said, "Please be honest. Are you not in a relationship now? Because I am hoping and praying that you are the one." And I texted her back and said, "I am not in a relationship. I am looking for one woman, not many." And those two texts were still on my phone 2 years later when I lost it. So I wasn't bothered about losing the phone particularly, but boy, I wish I could have that SIM card back with those texts on it. So will we make a video? Yes, we will. Was it romantic? I think it was. Somebody asked me, how did you propose to Beth? I didn't actually propose. We just knew we were going to get married. And I always used to tell Beth that ours was a great romantic story, a great love story. She told me early on, "I want to go to Baguio." I said, why Baguio? And she said, "Because my teacher said that it was the most romantic place that she had ever been to. And it was part of her story." And I told Beth right then that our love story is probably the most romantic she would ever find. And gosh, I went and lowered my voice again. Okay, so there's a few questions I've answered. I hope that clears up a few things for at least some of you. Okay, and the how did we meet is coming soon. We already talked about it today, and we are going to do it, but we're on our way out to Taliban, and I'm just following orders. Okay, bye for now. Foreigner in the Philippines.